Yeah. Should. Okay. Hello. Hello. Give me 1 sec, chat. Skadoosh. Video ping. Hello, chat. Hello. Did we get a notification? I don't know. I don't think I heard a notification from my phone that we're live. Is what it is. But hello, you didn't? Okay, yeah, so I didn't get one either. How strange. Sometimes YouTube is a bit silly. Okay. Okay. Hello, chat. W background, thank you. This will be one of the many minus videos we have planned for when it releases. I've been wanting to finally use this as a background. But yeah, -0 versus Yoru will be a video. Godzilla minus LARP. Wow. But we're talking about -0 coming out. I was gonna go live, reacted to it at G-Fest, but I decided not to. Me and Mark just reacted to it, just in the room. That should be in the G-Fest vlog when I eventually post that. No short today. So here's the thing. I'm gonna do a short tomorrow. I just want to take today as my last day break. Tomorrow we're getting back in the short grind, back in the video grind. I want to try and have the Star Wars What If as the next video. So a turret with the 20. Holy guac off the bat for the goose. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. We're gonna do what we did a couple streams back, where we put every single dono on screen and just kind of sold real estate like it was Monopoly. Let me save that real quick. So if you guys want to be on screen, you can. I think that's a good first. I think the larger the donut, the larger the picture. There we go. Voila. This message is approved by Tel Aviv. Mass love from Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. Wow. 5 original sentences left. How are you? I'm good. Olo Godzilla. I LARP. It's unfortunate. You're my dada. Wow, what is this chat? We got you LARP, we got love from Tel Aviv, and apparently I'm someone's dad. Much appreciated, chat. What's up? What's up, Dominic? Welcome in. But yeah, chat, let's just talk about it. I don't even know. The trailer, obviously a special bomb. I was spot on with that theory that there was going to be some sort of special device. I mean, they didn't call it a nuke. They said aboard third drop. We can finally use it. They didn't call it a bomb, or at least like a nuclear bomb. So I kind of had a feeling that it could be some special weapon, and it looks like it will be. Foot pics, please. Wow. Huge fan. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it, man. Have I played Little Nightmares? I have not. I think I've heard of that, but I have not played it. No. No, 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 no. Hold on, chat. Hold on. Everybody's posting their hauls in my little server, which I will be deleting the GFest server soon. Let's take a gander at all of these. All right, chat. Hold on. We're gonna be showing off all the hauls. Where'd I put mine? Hold up. Okay, well, it's not there for some reason. Hold on. Yoich Tenkai. I put it in my Discord. Aha. Okay. Chat, let's take a look at the hauls. Let's pull them up. Computer, show off the hauls. We got what looks to be, I think, a Gigabrain. I don't think that's Marmot. I'm pretty sure that's Gigabrain 62. A painted little guy. Seismic sticker right there. Hanna-Barbera and Guraya. Hiya Toys 2000. MMS. Final Wars Exilian. MMS Baragon. OG Biolante. And the little 6-pack Mothra. Chat, first haul, rate it out of 10. I'm going to go with... It's good. But none of them I like super duper mess with. You know, they're all cool, but nothing that like that super activates my Godzilla autism. Except the Haya and the Hanna-Barbera. I'd say like not even for the jokes here, like a 6 or 7. I don't want to put anything below a 6 just because like it's all someone's collection, you know? But it's goated. I do like it. But out of all the collections, I'm gonna go with a 7. All right. Next up. Very big collection. We got Dogara, I believe is his name, from that one film. Ultraman Jack. Signed by Ultraman Jack. A crucified Ultraman. Ultraman helmet. Frankenstein. Mosu Goji head. A whole bunch of other niche stuff. Gamera, Gauss, YMSF, Manda, Atragon Manda, Aggregate Destroyer, Kumunga. I was going to grab one of those. I sided against it. Giant Octopus, Anguirus, some Star Wars stuff. Got Mirror Man, Zone Fighter, Red Man. The DVD box for that film. DVD box for Frankenstein Conquers the World. Ultraman. Got some Safubi. Of course. It's good. Again, nothing that super duper tickles my brain other than the 62 Goji. I would say a 7.4. 7.4. Adam Driver as Magneto rumor. I have not heard that. Thank you for the $2. I did not hear about that. That is unique for sure. How do I... Okay. Let me put the dono on screen. Thank you for the donation. Let me get you up on screen. $100 dono, and it takes up half the screen. Let's go with that from now on. Let me add it. Let me add it to the screen, chat. Let me add it to the screen. Thank you for the $2. Okay. W collection, 7.4. 7.4. Actually, 7.3. 7.3. 7.3. Next up. Ooh. Okay. Mulene T, you got her sticker. Got a little old Godzilla, Gamera, Safubi Burning, looks like. YMSF Zilla, Jet Jaguar, Rising, Gamora, Zilla Puppet, Haya Toys, and some signed Ultraman Jack stuff. It's cool. I mess with it. I'd say another 7.3. For me, I think the issue, I am a big fan of paper media. That's why this one was a little bit higher than this one. I love stuff that isn't just figures, right? Let's move away from just figures. That's what really tickles my brain. A Saron store with the 2 pounds, I believe. Adam Driver would be better as Mr. Sinister, in my opinion. I don't know who Mr. Sinister is, but heck yeah. Thank you for the 2. They're dono debating on who Adam Driver should play. Let me get you up on the screen. Thank you for the $2. I appreciate it. All donation money will go towards the Star Wars What If, because that is going to be a pretty penny, that one. Okay. Chat, what do we rate it? Out of 10, what are our thoughts? I'm going to go with a 7.1. 7.1. 8. 7. 8. 6.9. 10 out of 10. 7. Richard, welcome in. All right. Next. All right. We have to keep in mind, it's not as much as it looks. We're box maxing. We are currently box maxing. Everything is still in the box. But let's take a look. Ultraman Jack signed. A whole bunch of Ultraman stuff there. Daimogen, whatever that is. The Field Museum, plastic pressed, super inaccurate T-Rex. Whole bunch of Ultraman. All I can recognize is Mebius, because that's the GOAT. Son of Godzilla. Love this. I got this Toys Dream Project. I have that. That's one of my favorite things to have. An Ender Dragon. Heisei Godzilla, Aggregate Destroyer. The somewhat clear GMK. Very cool figure. Batra, Zone Fighter. Zeton. That guy. Forgot his name. We got a lot. Redman. OG Ultraman. This is good. Though, again, we are kind of box maxing. This is like the clickbait of collections. We are box maxing. Makes it look like it's a lot more than it actually is. Overall, I'm going to go, not much paper media. I love collecting paper media. I'm going to go with, I think 8. 8 works. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Very fire. Siron store with another 2. Also, W Spain, them or England will win the cup, in your opinion? It's possible. We all agree Argentina paid the refs. We all can agree on that. So let's get that done on screen. Thank you. What do you guys rate, though? I'm going with an 8. So what have I said? 7, 7.3, 7, 8. .4, 8. Hey, thank you. Witcher Halo. Hope you enjoyed the member-only videos. Look, after the next What If, we're going to have another public video, and then after that, I'm going to be working on 10 Tales vs. Monsters vs. Godzilla, which will be a member-only video. Only ever be for members. So, if you want to see that, join the channel for $1 a month. All right, moving on. Ooh. Ooh, got a lot of Godzilla. Okay. We have Hayatoy's Axe Kong along with the Beast Glove variant. We have Doug. We have quite a few stickers there. Little finger puppet, what looks to be 84. Jet Jaguar. I believe that's Super 7. Mothra. War for Humanity. More stickers. The new Shin Godzilla and the Hayatoy's GGK and Little Sitting Ultraman. I like it a lot. It's simple. We got a good comic in the middle. We got some absolute banger figures there. Low key. $8.7. 8.7 out of 10. 8.7 out of 10. I'm going with an 8.7. What are our thoughts? What are our thoughts? 9.5, 8.9, 8.8, 8.7. Doug, 12 out of 10. Wow. 8.5. All right. The next one might be me. I'm not sure. It is not. Ooh. Ooh, we got a lot of paper media. Okay, we're Safubi Magazine. Showa Ghidorah, Haruo Nakajima, Garaya, Manila. We got a little collectible Final Wars Hedorah. Rodan, the Mushroom Guy, Frankenstein, I can't tell. But looks to be King Goji, Gigan, Mogira, another Manila, Sanda, Anguirus, and Jet, Anashin. Whole bunch of good Safubi there. The Mist thingy, I forgot. I know there's making a new film of it. The Mist thing, whatever toy film that is, and Santa Garaya. A whole bunch of good DVD boxes. I'm a sucker for the DVD boxes. Some Bob Eggleton art. Heck yeah, Bob Eggleton is insane. We got a good lineup. We got more Bob Eggleton art. I'm gonna go with. It's mostly just Safubi and then some art though, so it's not like a whole bunch of diversity. I am a sucker for Safubi. I'll go with a solid 8 point. When I do this one, I said 8.8 on this. 8.8 again. I'm having tie. 8.8. 8.8. Are you watching Teo? I am. Gojira. I have to finish watching episode 2. I watched the first 10 minutes of it and went to sleep at G-Fest. I'm going to watch that later tonight. But yes, Teo has been a blast so far. Loving Teo. Next one might be me. Okay, it is not. Oh, wow. Okay, we have a lot to unpack here. We got the Field Museum, Pikachu, Hedorah, Frankenstein, which seems to be a Trendmasters Gamera there. Pigmon, Showa Ghidorah. There's so much. We got fake Mechagodzilla, Heisei, the Claw, maybe. C-Rex, another press thing. Kumonga. There's a lot. Okay, we got our pass. Mechagodzilla City. Wow. There's a lot. There is a lot. I like it. I like it. What seems to be, I assume, a theater exclusive. Ion Dragon, Cyberzilla, Chameleon. I'm gonna go with an 8. I'm gonna go solid 8 out of 10. Very solid 8. I like it. I like it. Let me look at my server real quick for any other hauls from the fest. Goji Studios. Very good diversity. Ooh, Geed, good. Red King. Got a mug. Boggin. This is simple, but I love it. This is great. This is... It's not overly complicated. Genuinely, this might be a 9. This might be a 9. It doesn't matter about the quantity or how much you spent. It just has to have that oomph, you know, that feeling. Let's look at Yummer's haul. Ooh, quite a few stickers. Des Ghidorah, very nice. Jaguar shirt. The SH, I think that's SH, maybe, I don't know. Shin, we got Shin Ultraman, Shin Godzilla, Titanicus sticker, Cyber. 8.8. 8.8 again. No, 8.9. 8.9. 8.9. I like it very much. All right, chat. Now, don't be biased to mine. I want you to fairly rate it. I want you to fairly rate it, okay? Just because it's mine. Do not be glazing. Just because it is mine. Got some diversity. We got quite. I'll zoom in. I'll tell you what everything is. We got Maguma, Ibiron, a soon-to-release Kaiju Universe character that got printed out and given to me by one of the lead devs there. The Atomic Allosaurus, Marmot's Megalon, Dopepope Megalon, X Plus Megalon. This Godzilla figure, I might actually genuinely make a figure video. This is actually one of the greatest figures of all time. Kaiser Ghidorah, Chameleon, -1, 54. Showa Ghidorah, little Megalon there, Cyberzilla, Zilla Jr., little 3D printed Godzilla fan gave me, Megalon, C-Rex, Methuselah. We got 3 Blazar coins, a little plastic press from the Field Museum, whole bunch of marbles and finger puppet Godzillas, a little free Godzilla and Hayatoi Scylla. We got the encyclopedia. If you guys watched Heisei Godzilla in the Showa era, you would know what this is. Another good info book. This has Monster Warrior Godzilla, 1962 DVD box, and this. You know what's in this, chat? Sperm Cell Goji. The greatest Godzilla of all time. All right. Give your ratings. And don't just be like 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. I want to like really dissect it. Really look at it. And what do you think? Because I'm going to take no offense if you're like, it's just not my thing. 8.1, 8. Not enough Megalon, -0. Of course. 9. Megalon out of 10, 8.9, 8, 7.5, 8.5, 7, 1. 9.5, 8.5. All right. It seems to be around that like 8 to 8.5 range on average. Very nice. I was Megalon maxing this year. I got 7 Megalons. Oh, also SH Monster Arts Mogira just isn't here yet. It's shipping here. So, yeah. But SH Monster Arts Mogira. All right, back to the discussions. Would you rather want to see Godzilla fight Varan or Anguirus in -0? Varan. I'm sorry, Aang. Look, I love Aang so much. I love him to death. And I want to see him return someday. But Varan's even more forgotten. We need Varan back before Anguirus. Like, genuinely, I would actually burst out crying. Like, happy tears. If I saw... And also, Varan just looks sick in the -1 style. What's Teo? Ultraman Teo. On Kong seeing so much hate right now. It's just the power scale of losers. Yeah, I'm a scaler. I don't consider myself a loser though, just because I'm not just upset and mad at the world about everything all the time, and I don't dox people over them having a different opinion than me. So many other scalers are just so miserable and toxic, and you know, they can live in their filth and sorrow by themselves. Being at G-Fest, like you see none of that. You see no Kong hate. You see no Godzilla hate. You see no hatred towards people that have a different opinion than you in a like versus take. That's stupid. That's stupid and dumb. And if they want to be mad and upset and losers by themselves on TikTok and YouTube and Discord, then they can be losers. They can be chuds. Because I don't like them. And frankly, they don't really seem to like themselves either. They're just sad and miserable all the time. So I don't really care for Kong hate because, you know, honestly, being a G-Fest, all the normal, sane kaiju fans don't care. They like Kong. They like Godzilla. They're not losers. Who wins, Showa Kumonga or Showa Mothra? Well, if it's Mothra, not Imago, like Mothra from 64, then I'd probably go Kumonga, end of series, just because I'd have Kumonga over the larva. you with Chud for not going? No. If you can't make it, you can't make it. It's all good. She even a fan art? Oh yeah, I got quite a bit of fan art this year. Okay, and Kale is too busy spamming their question and actually listening for the answer I just gave them. They'll be timed out. Oh yeah, no, the dealer's room definitely was still congested this year. It's just really hard to make it not congested. It's difficult. It really is. Honestly, I think they should move some of the dealer's room like outside of the main room. But the Hyatt can only hold so much. Welcome in, Superior. Welcome in. Hold on. Okay. Let's just check in something real fast. My face was bloated the last day, bro. I ate like a chud the night before I left. Absolute chud. Imagine Maguma and my Zero. Again, I would cry. I'd be so happy. W wallpaper, thank you. Yoru versus -0. Anti-gravity Gabara. Wow. Welcome in, Christina. What's Maguma from? Gorath. Oregon Sword once asked. We have to wait and see what -0 does. If he's like stupid, crazy, cracked, then he needs to have like instant regen from the Santa Chance. I'm gonna be honest. It's just more for a funny thumbnail. And do not tell my artist to think about the money. He's already got enough of those comments. Every time he draws an OC that happens to be a girl, think about the money. No, but like, think about the money. Godzilla Smite edits, please. Time out for 24 hours. Let's see. A Maguma costume. The Maguma costume was beautiful. I didn't see it with my own eyes, but I saw plenty photos. Megalon cosplay. Yeah, there were two of them. They're both great. Otto had a great job. Had a great costume this year. Favorite costume I saw? You know, there were some that were like 1-to-1 recreations, but I gotta go with Otto. I gotta support him. Him and his mom are very sweet, and he made a super, super cool Megalon costume. Yeah, what are you guys' hopes for Supernova? What are the hopes and dreams and aspirations of the chat? I just hope it's good. And I think it will be. I hope at the end they put in loving memory of Sam Neill as well. Similar to what they did for uh, Haruo Nakajima. Mogira appearance, that'd be cool. Excuse me, sir. I hope Kong does not get an exosuit. I hope he does, because that'd be so funny. That'd actually be hilarious. Methuselah do something, he's gonna die. That's what he's gonna do in the film. He's gonna die. Um, Legacy Monsters characters would be good. Yeah, for sure. Mogira and -0. What are we doing, bro? What are we doing, bro? What are we talking about? Oh man, that hurts to look at. That is a punch in the gut to look at. Man. Rip the goat. Unfortunate. I'm excited to see what Dan Stevens cooks up for Dexter Resurrection Season 2. Very excited for that. I want to rewatch Dexter now. Bun dun 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 dun. Bun dun. Red Monarch teaser. Oh, in Supernova? We'll probably have that before Supernova, I would assume. Like before it comes out. Peak background, thank you. Make another Dexter video? Dude, the Jurassic fans hated the last video. Oh my gosh. Dude, I'm sorry, bro. Any dinosaurs dying to a super genius with prep time. Especially when they're a murdering super genius. I'm sticking by that. With prep time, give me Dexter. Give me, honestly, like one of you guys with prep time. If you guys knew like what you needed and you had the budget to get it, you're gonna win. Like it's kind of unfair, honestly. Hold on. Let me check real fast. Excuse me, sir. Oh, chat. Tonight, I'll be in a Goji Center live stream, so don't miss it. Don't miss it. I'll be live with Mr. Center himself. Hey, thank you, Oliver, with the $5. Hey, Goji guy. Could the Chroma okay from Fox Machine? I have no clue what that is. But if it's D&D as in Dungeons and Dragons, I'm gonna assume it would probably wipe the Monsterverse. But yeah, sadly, I have absolutely no idea what that is in the slightest. But thank you for the donation. It is greatly appreciated. It will go towards the next What If. So thank you. Chat, if you're not following me on Insta, go follow. I posted a peak G-Fest edit that I can't show here because it's copyrighted music. But I worked my butt off on that edit the other day, and I'm very, 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 very proud of it. Go give it a watch. Insta's right here. La 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 la. Right there. Go give it a watch. Okay, there we go. But thank you for the 5. What's up, Edvard? Welcome in, welcome in. Shin with the gift, thank you. Godzilla in Hell versus Dexter with prep. Bro, give me Dexter, bro. GIH is a bum. GIH is a fraud, right? He's an absolute bum. Genuine statement merchant. Give me Dexter, bro. He'll make some anti-Godzilla drug. He'll get it done. I think we all agree with that. Most underrated Jaeger? Titan Redeemer. The M19 Morningstar is one of the strongest weapons in the verse, and I feel like nobody talks about it because everyone's like, oh, the energy weapons. M19 Morningstar would like genuinely like destroy so many Jaegers if it hit them in the face. Gucci guy, what's up, LW5297? Welcome in, welcome in. Let me check the votes. I can't say what they are, but Goji Center let me like do a vote on their thing yesterday. So like, let me. Oh, is it Google Forms? I don't use that, so I think it's. Is it Sheets? It is. What are the votes looking like? Steve has casted his votes. Okay, almost all of us agree on that. Oh wow, that one might win. Which one is this one? Oh, yeah, that one. That'd be really cool to see. And this one as well. What is this one? Ah, yeah, obviously. I was looking at the Goji Center vote thing. Ultraman clears what? The Monsters? Showa Megalon versus Gemsa Megalon. Showa. It's just a lot of assumptions with Gemstone. As much as I love both of them, I gotta go. The Showa. I also think Hebert can Dexter survive with prep time. Can Dexter survive Jurassic Park Part 2? That'd be hilarious. Oh my god, bro, that would get so much hate. Like, oh, here he goes again. Here he goes again, just saying bull. Just saying random stuff on how Dexter somehow beats dinosaurs. He does! He does, bro. Dexter's whooping a dinosaur. You got a Trump ad? Huh. I don't ever go into politics, but I'm just surprised that. Well, I guess it's personalized. I don't think yeah, I think I have my ads where it's personalized rather than like relevant to the video. So interesting. Why are they running a Trump ad right now, though? Yeah, but no, Goji guy will never get into politics. I remember when the elections were happening, somebody was asking me in live, like, who are you voting for? I'm like, literally what? What are we talking about, bro? There is no need for you to know who I vote for. There's no reason on how that should affect how you look at like versus videos. It's like Goji Trump. Quite frankly, I can't do this with my throat sore. Quite frankly, the Monarch files aren't real. They're fabricated by Apex Cybernetics. Voting Godzilla for president? Obviously, that's why I voted for Godzilla for president. Godzilla sleep. You guys saw the thing. You guys saw it. Godzilla sweep. No politics. I agree. I think you guys want my political take. I think politics are being, at least in the U.S., made and actually not even globally, made and manipulated to try and divide us more, especially here in the States. We're the United States, chat. United. Stand proud for that. Dokes versus Ghidorah. Give me Dokes. Give me Dokes, bro. Dexter's just Batman with no money. Well, in the Jurassic video, you had the budget of the islands to help him out, so that's not a hot take. I don't think it is. Tonight's the night. Dun 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 dun. Methuselah versus Prime. Give me Methuselah. Give me Methuselah. Just give him the implications. Live stream. It'll probably be around 9 to 9:30ish. Like that's when it usually starts. Right. Oh my gosh. I've been meaning to get on Real Silver Jurassic Park. I've been meaning to do that. I remember I made like a post about that like over a year ago. Do you guys still want that? Jurassic Park versus Real Steel? That'd be such. Oh my gosh, that'd be like the most like autism video ever. Giant fighting robots versus dinosaurs brought back to life. Zeus versus. Check who you guys got, Zeus or the Velociraptor pack. Blue, Delta, and the other two. Who you guys care? Let me put a poll up. Who's winning, chat? Zeus, not the god. Zeus from Real Steel, or the Raptor Squad. Started watching One Piece. I saw Luffy died. I saw he got slimed. I saw Luffy got absolutely slimed. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Give me Zeus. Give me Zeus all the way, bro. Literally, Blue with her plot armor might survive a couple hits. Yeah, but no. Zeus, a punch to the face on the other three, that is killing them instantly. He like just one good punch to their head and that's dead. Dead instantly, bro. Zeus versus Indoraptor would be a lot more interesting for sure. I think Zeus weighs more, does he? Hold on. Indoraptor weight 2,200 pounds. Real Steel Zeus weight. I'm pretty sure he's pretty damn heavy too. Let me check the wiki. Where's the Real Steel wiki? $1,200. Okay, the Indo does outweigh him by 1,000 pounds, so that would be rough. That'd be rough. That would be a tough fight. But again, dude, he hits so hard, bro. Zeus hits like an absolute truck. So it's like, could Indoraptor tear him apart before he just literally punches holes in her? What do you guys think? I feel like that's be an interesting fight. R-1 with the 5. Will you ever make a what if about Toho Godzilla? Yes. After the Star Wars what if, the next what if is actually gonna be this, but I want to get the Star Wars one first. What if Showa Mechagodzilla 1? I have that planned. Thank you for the $5. All the donos go directly towards the next what if, that being the Star Wars one, which then, of course, in time will go towards the why am I brain farting? The Showa Mechagodzilla one, as you just said. So yes, do not worry. Thank you for all the donors, by the way, chat. Greatly appreciated. Let's get that poll. Hold on. Zeus versus Interruptor. Who you guys got, bro? Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Who you guys taking that fight? It'd be a tough fight. It would be a tough matchup for sure. Bulletproof, but she was kind of getting pushed around by Blue. Zeus Glaze. I mean, is it though? I don't think it's too crazy to say. It looks like everybody's saying Zeus anyway. Oh my gosh, for the Interrupters male. Ah. Blah 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 blah. Blah blah blah. That's what I hear from you guys. Blah 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 blah. That's all I hear. That's all I hear. Most overrated Godzilla in terms of what? Film, design, or power? Wait and see what the guy says. Fireball. Bum 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 bum. Array and powers. GIH. Honestly, I think my opinion's changed. I think I'm gonna sit with Heisei. It was a close fight between the two. Here's the thing. Godzilla and Hell scaling, it's like a comic that the authors themselves give statements towards, right? Godzilla and Hell scaling, honestly, at this point, I actually don't even have an issue with the scaling they get them to, right? Hyper, outer. My issue is that they try and apply it to film Heisei Godzilla. Because literally in the Heisei scaling videos, they're not even scaling the film anymore. They're literally only going over statements. They hardly cover any feats ever. There's like two different Heisei Godzillas. There's the film Heisei Godzilla, and then there's the statement Heisei Godzilla, like the books, right? At this point, I'm honestly counting them as different things just because of how drastic and like just different they are. It's actually absurd. I think Heisei Godzilla. I gotta go Heisei Godzilla. There's film Heisei Godzilla and then statement Heisei Godzilla. Yes, burning this planetary. He was gonna blow up. He was gonna surface wipe Earth, which is even planetary. It's like multi-continental. Like film Heisei, I think star or solar. You could argue that, and I wouldn't be like, you're insane. Anything higher than that? No. Nope. That's when you have to make your Heisei statement Godzilla. I I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Wingard's Godzilla works. I don't dislike them, but like they're definitely not the best. But I think that's a bad critique on your end to critique the film because it doesn't match the scaling. The directors don't make the films for scaling. That's not why they make them. They make them because they like the media. If you're watching a film or reading media on a character that you like just for power scaling, I don't know. That's whack. That's weird. I'm not even gonna like be like sugarcoat it. That's really weird in my eyes. I got a heavy disagree on that. That's a really weird way to look at it. You seen Dinosaur King? I have not seen Dinosaur King. Least favorite kaiju? I don't really have one, but like in a sense of like one I dislike. But I guess one like this doesn't speak to me at all whatsoever. Um, Behemoth. I'm sorry, he's a big elephant sloth. There's nothing like that's like super. There's something that he has that like makes me gravitate towards him. I don't know. When I think of a boring kaiju, I think of Behemoth. I don't hate him. No, I just don't really care for him either. I'm just like, he's there. He's cool, I guess, but I mean, I don't really care for him. If he gets killed, I'll be like, cool. Hell Creek Formation. Can Dexter survive? No prep time. He got that, bro. Light work. If he has all his gear, I mean, honestly, probably could. And the dude is using horse tranquilizer, you know? Dexter's an absolute genius. Like, honestly, he could do pretty well. He could do pretty well. Like, not even that bad. What time? It's pretty early in the morning. I don't know if Overseer's awake. I could call him. Oi, bub. You up? Hey, thank you, Undead, with the 2 stars. Bum 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 bum. Bow, bow. Chat, should I react to Mark's video? I haven't watched it yet. Should I react to Mark's video? Hold on. I want to call him. I don't want to like just react without his permission. let me call Mark. Dexter be setting with prep time? Obviously, bro. Yo, what you up to? Okay, I'm live right now. Can I live react to your video? All right. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to get your permission. Yeah, I'm not gonna like be dicking on or anything. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, no, I got plenty of those in the short too. People are like, let me mute real quick. Yeah. All right. All right. I will. I will. All right. See ya. All right. We got consent from Mark to react to his video. Um. So I'm excited. I'm excited. This stupid ass debate. She's language. Sorry. I'm pumped. hold on, if YouTube will load. I want you guys to see. I have not watched this video yet. I have yet to watch this video whatsoever. Hey, thank you, Purge, the $2. Who would you want to see in the Monsterverse, Destroyer or Bio? First, I want to see Bio. I'd want to see Bio. Just because I want Destroyer to be saved for later, not to be the end-all kaiju, but I want to see him later, for sure. And Undead, the $5 thing, man. With me at the new -1 Godzilla. I think it looks awesome. I'm very excited. I got to meet Wes Wing at G-Fest, and I've even talked to him some on Instagram. That is the guy that is the narrating voice in the -0 trailer. The, aboard third drop, blah, 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 blah. And hopefully, we here on Goji Guy will be able to interview him once -0 is out. So that is the goal and hopes and dreams. Let me get these up on screen. Again, thank you everybody for donating. All the donos. I'm dying. Will go towards the next What If. So I do greatly, greatly appreciate it. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna keep a poker face. I'm just gonna watch and observe because I want to see what his arguments are. Because I will be doing this video, redoing this video myself once we are closer to Supernova. So let me get this up and make sure everything's good. Okay.
The strongest form of Monsterverse Godzilla is a weird conversation. There's no question that the two who compete for this title severely outclass the many other versions of the King of the Monsters. And this all started with Godzilla x Kong, the New Empire. The new kid on the block,
sorry
so to
guys,
speak,
I have a low attention span.
Introducing Godzilla's latest form, Supercharged Evolved Godzilla. Many fans believe Godzilla has become more powerful than ever before in this state, requiring a buildup of a nuclear power plant and the most radioactive place on Earth to evolve into an even more powerful version of Godzilla, having the heightened energy capacity to amp himself at will. But on the other side, we have thermonuclear, aka Burning Godzilla. Despite this form debuting over 7 years ago now, this form's power has remained burnt in everyone's mind, with the powerful fusion of reaching critical mass, as well as Mothra's life force to amp Godzilla to
every 5 minutes, I will say one thing. Starting off in the first 5, because again, I want to keep my mouth shut and let it play. And here he has to say, because maybe he reverses my thoughts here. You have to keep a couple things in mind. Burning was achieved with a singular nuclear bomb from a almost dead Dohei Goji, the brink of death Dohei Goji. Evolved was a Dohei Goji that can hold more radiation thanks to thermonuclear. So Evolved wouldn't be as strong as he was if it wasn't thanks to thermo. He was in peak health in that form, so the only ones being above him would be Nuke Amp, Energize, and then Thermo and Supercharged. He then kills Scylla, likely in turn, just by proxy of how he operates, absorbs some of radiation. But if you don't want to count that, that's fine. But if you want to assume he probably by proxy just of being so close to her dead body, you can argue he did absorb some. That's not canonical. That is headcanon. Do not use it as your proof. I'm just adding that on to the possible proof. We're going to build up an actual, foundation here first, and then you can add that on, as a questionable argument, but you can sort of argue it. And she was buffed by 30 nukes. Not saying strong in thermo, duh. But you could argue he even got a little bit stronger there. Then goes off, rests even more. Then he goes off to a nuclear power plant, absorbs it, drive radiation to the point where he achieved thermo in this higher state, just minus the whole heat part. He achieved the same part of the visual effect of the fact that his body can no longer hold radiation and actually got more violent as it went on. He was somewhat glowing at nighttime in France and then was literally lighting up the water around him by the time he fought Tiamat, growing in power. If you want to have another possible headcanon thing, you can argue maybe he absorbed something in Spain. I don't think there's anything that argues he does. Why he's coming off the shoreline in Spain, also we don't really know, but that happened. But as we know right now, higher Dohei with a higher energy capacity ceiling, with at the peak of his health, then goes off naps, then goes up, takes in a whole nuclear power plant, reaches essentially the exact same state as thermo in a higher radiation capacity form, then goes to the most radioactive place on Earth, sucks to drive radiation along with absorbing Tiamat's DNA and turn her power as well. Similar to how, if you want to argue thermo got power from Mothra, if you're going to argue that, you also need to argue that, okay, then he would absorb power from Tiamat as well, right? It's what we know canonically from Mothra is his not his, her life force energy was given to him to make sure he didn't die, right? There's nothing that I know of, maybe he brings something up that I'm not aware of, that says canonically that he absorbed her power as well. Just her life force that made sure he didn't die. That was the whole point of her sacrificing herself. So, yeah, that's my little tidbit there off the bat. It wasn't just a nuclear power plant and just the most radioactive place on Earth. There was a multitude of other things, right? Also, it's like, why would Tiamat be there and not just be getting nukes as well? You know, it's like, obviously the most radioactive place on Earth would be more radioactive than a nuke or a nuclear power plant. So, anyways, let's continue.
Helen back to the point where it nearly killed him, reducing his greatest rival to a pile of ashes. With these two forms seeming to be nearly unstoppable, the debate between the two forms of the character has been raging on for over 2 years and is still ongoing. Hello everyone, I'm Minya FTA, here to manage what goes into your kaiju content for today. And in this video, I'm gonna try and put out the fire that is this debate, or add even more fuel to the fire. This isn't gonna be your traditional versus battle. We'll be analyzing many things such as the respective feats, explaining how Godzilla's evolution affects his power, Ghidorah and Shimo's relativity, the Monarch files, and of course, their respective statements. By the end of the video, we'll see if Godzilla's evolution truly surpasses every version of Godzilla before him, or if thermonuclear remains the strongest form the monsterverse has ever shown us. Thermonuclear Godzilla versus supercharged evolved Godzilla. Who would win?
Again, I'm gonna try not talk too much because I want to keep my takes.
Deciding factor in a fight. The single best durability comparison for this topic comes directly from Ghidorah himself. In Antarctica, during Godzilla and Ghidorah's brief altercation, Ghidorah uses his gravity beams on Godzilla. While one seemed to lack any real power, add in 2 more and you'll see why it's Ghidorah's signature attack. They were shown to be able to knock Godzilla off of his feet, pushing him into the ice that
I'm gonna interrupt. That was a weakened, almost dead Mothra already. It was Rodan in the Monarch file said to have a kill shot on her with the fire, so let's just mention that.
Ghidorah had just escaped. But what's so important about this scene? Godzilla reacts. He is visibly affected, burning him, causing him to groan in pain, and knock him off of his feet. This will be important for later. Now, that is the baseline for Ghidorah, if not even slightly underneath it, due to him just waking up. Now, we fast forward to Boston. Godzilla in his nuke charge state is able to contend with Ghidorah and even overwhelm him at times. As we all saw, Ghidorah took advantage of his surroundings. This right here is no longer the same Ghidorah that we saw in Antarctica. He absorbs the entirety of the Boston power grid and severely burns and cuts an even more durable Godzilla. And as he gets Godzilla on the ground, begins to amp himself again by siphoning even more energy from a critical mass Godzilla. Make sure to keep in mind that base Ghidorah's attacks were shown to severely cut into Godzilla before this ever happened. I mean, energy is damn near leaking out of Godzilla, as we'll see later when his radiation can no longer control itself. On the other hand, this is the most powerful version of Ghidorah we've seen all film long.
This is assuming double amp Ghidorah exists. As I said, when I eventually get around to doing this, I think I said this on last stream, I'll have a couple of versus videos up beforehand that start to build the bracket that you need to keep in mind for figuring out the top 10, right? And I'm going to mention in one of those that I personally don't really think double amp Ghidorah exists. At most, a very slightly amped Ghidorah right here in this scene, but double amp, no, I don't believe that exists at all.
Long peak Ghidorah. As it was even stated that without Mothra, Ghidorah would have been victorious.
He couldn't possibly defeat King Ghidorah if it wasn't for Mothra's noble self-sacrifice.
There's no question how powerful Ghidorah got near this stage of the film, virtually double amping himself at this point, but then here comes along Godzilla, being able to harness this insurmountable amount of energy with the help of Mothra's life force. And when Ghidorah unleashes an even more powerful version of the gravity beams than what we saw earlier in the film, due to absorbing Godzilla's own critical mass.
Double amp Ghidorah is liberal propaganda. It's not real.
Radiation, what does this exactly do to Godzilla in this form? Nothing. Nothing happens. He doesn't even get pushed back in the slightest like before. No visible damage, no groaning in pain, rather he's smiling. As a matter of fact, on top of no selling the most powerful version of the gravity beams all film long, he absorbs the energy of it, which will be very important for later. Godzilla knows how powerful he is right now, and he's grinning with excitement. The weaker version of the same attack that had previously burned, cut, and staggered him, even when it's more powerful than ever before, does absolutely nothing now. That moment right there alone establishes how thermonuclear Godzilla's durability is in a tier of its own. No other moment in the monsterverse has Godzilla shown durability to this level. Now let's look at what Godzilla's supercharged evolved form showed off. Supercharged evolved Godzilla is able to wrestle with Shimo much easier, but as we all saw, gets interrupted prematurely when Suko destroys the crystal. However, he wasn't able to show much in the field of durability besides his base form. When Godzilla was still supercharged when charging into Shimo, we can hear Godzilla let out a groan of pain. I'll play it normally and in slow-mo so y'all can hear it. This is where we can first see the difference in these two forms' ability to withstand attacks. Godzilla, while grappling with Shimo, was in pain. Compare this to Ghidorah's amp gravity beams, not even making Godzilla react, rather he smiled at them, and then supercharged evolved Godzilla is groaning in pain to grappling. Before you say Godzilla has let out pain roars without being in pain before, the only time he does this is in the one scene in Legacy of Monsters. And not to mention, the context matters. The only other times Godzilla ever makes that specific roar of pain when grappling with Shimo in the entire monsterverse were these right here. So yes, it's pretty obvious Godzilla was groaning in pain. With that said, with the comparison provided,
I did hear about this from people that already watched the video, that there's what has been deemed roar scaling I think this little whack, Mark, if you're watching. This seems like a little bit of a stretch. It seems a little bit of a stretch. I mean, there's also just a multitude of things. Monsterverse, of course, just could use whatever roars they want. 2, I mean, like, if we want to go with, like, okay, he's roaring in pain. Thermo's pulses didn't destroy buildings. They destroyed a building when rolling, so therefore the roll would be over top of the thermonuclear pulse. There's a lot of really weird kind of that's a really far-fetched. That's the best way to put it. That's a really far-fetched argument, I would say. I think sticking with this is, Mark, if you're watching, love you to death. This is your glued argument. I would say stick to the more solid stuff. This is really out there. This is really, really out there. I would argue this is worse than toy statements. But so far cooking, though. So far cooking. The energy absorption is an interesting ability Thermo has. Godzilla Final Wars for Showa. Oh. Showa all the way. That's our last ever time. Yeah, it's gonna be sad to watch that for sure. Thermo's hot Cheeto maxing. There was some funny comment I saved a long time ago on Thermo Godzilla. I don't know what it was. He was something maxing, and I don't know what it was. It was something really funny. The pain roars is him swearing. That's good headcanon. That is good headcanon. I like that.
Zero reaction to Ghidorah's most powerful attack and groaning from grappling. There's a clear difference.
Oh, also, not to mention, like, if we do want to assume that, again, the relativity that I don't know what his argument's going to be. If the relativity arguments are both planetary, one person can be 75 times more into planetary. You can have a character that's planetary and then another character that's 70 times stronger, and they're still planetary. You have to be 76 times stronger, right? So again, you could also just argue that's just, like, even if we assume that's like proper, like, okay, let's roar scale, right? Shimo's just much more powerful than Ghidorah. So, but I'm interested to see his relativity arguments because I don't really know any other ones outside of they're both planetary. So I'm interested to see what the takes are there. I know he used quite a bit of ancient Godzilla scaling here, which I don't really look at because, like, ancient Godzilla is just, like, really funky. There's a lot of weird stuff. Like, he gets dominated by Shimo, but he beats Ghidorah, but he almost loses to the Skarking army, but he also got, like, beaten by rival. Like, the ancient timeline just doesn't really make sense.
The biggest thing Evolved Godzilla has going for him is his energy capacity being magnified by 20 times. However, here's why you shouldn't proportionally line that up with his power and just say he's 20 times more powerful. His energy capacity goes with his ability to store radiation, channel it, and control it. His evolution allowed him to store 20 times the amount of radiation, not energy that is 20 times more powerful. In fact, Monarch Files describes Godzilla's evolution as giving Godzilla a higher thermodynamic ceiling. A higher ceiling doesn't automatically mean every attack becomes proportionally stronger. Godzilla can now safely contain and utilize larger amounts of energy before reaching his limit. And not to mention, these just don't scale 1-to-1, and let me explain. Think of Godzilla's evolution like upgrading the fuel tank on a car. If you increase the size of the fuel tank by 20 times, that doesn't suddenly make the engine 20 times stronger. It simply allows the vehicle to travel at faster speeds before running out of fuel. The engine still determines how much power can actually be produced at any given moment. But in Godzilla's case, it would not only be an increased capacity of the fuel tank, but also a more powerful engine, just not a 20 times more powerful engine. It's like comparing a car's V8 engine to a V.
Well, by this argument, I think you kind of, like, I think this argument's working a little bit against you, Mark, just because if for somebody has that 20 times, right, the whole supercharged state is him tapping into that 20 times, like, and burning through it as if it was a normal state, right? That's essentially, the supercharged state is him, like, 1 second of his supercharged state would be equivalent to 20 seconds of the normal, right? So that'd be like saying the car, is somehow going 20 times faster. It's like the engine is being pushed 20 times further, and it's taking in that fuel that needed to operate at 20 times further. Like, assuming, of course, the tires, and this is a really weird analogy with the car, right? Nothing against Mark, if you're watching, just like, if we're being realistic, right? If the tires would burn off. But I want to say that's the best argument. You are balling. Lovely. Nice car. Thank you. Yes, chat. This is my car. Mark actually flew down here. Or flew up here. And yeah, this is my car. This is my car right here. The Goji Mobile.
V12 engine.
Yeah, Evolve's attacks, like, in base aren't 20 times stronger. but the supercharged state is him tapping into that 20 times stuff like all at once. That's why he's again reaching that same state as Thermo. Like his body is literally using everything it has all at once. That's why he is burning. That's why he's gluing. I know you're watching, Mike. That's why he's gluing more than, you know, he is in his base state. So
Supercharged Evolved is no doubt much more powerful than its base. That was never in question. Rather, it's a matter of him not being 20 times more powerful or durable. Nothing in the films or excess material states that simply holding more radiation automatically increases Godzilla's power or durability in a linear fashion. Godzilla Supercharged in Rio can be directly compared to how he drilled through the earth in Hong Kong. In both situations,
I mean, Mark, like I know I just said I'm gonna go to 10, but like, I mean, as we've talked about and, you know, you and me agree upon, I mean, you're saying he has 20 times more capacity. The more radiation Godzilla has, the stronger and more durable he becomes. Just like how Thermo became more durable in the Thermo state, right? So, you see, it kind of folds in on itself there.
Godzilla charges his atomic breath for an extended period of time to increase the power of the attack. However, both...
What does Evo Goji's spikes taste like? Probably disgusting and probably very deadly. If you tried to take a bite of it, that'd probably kill you.
Times, Godzilla isn't releasing his entire energy reserve in a single attack. He's channeling additional energy into one blast, while still keeping enough energy to continue fighting. We actually see this same function with Godzilla in his base form. Godzilla unleashed this powerful atomic breath and kept firing it throughout the battle in Hong Kong. But once fighting Mechagodzilla, Godzilla's energy was exhausted to its core, to the point where his atomic breath was overpowered by the proton scream. But with Evolved Godzilla, this didn't happen because he can channel large amounts of power for a longer time. Notice how it specifically mentions the energy capacity of Evolved is being magnified, instead of directly saying his power is magnified. Later in the video, there are even more things that confirm Godzilla just isn't 20 times more powerful. Moving on, what does Godzilla's evolved form really mean? Evolved Godzilla evolved to store and regulate radiation in a safer manner. Godzilla was ill-prepared to fight Ghidorah. Ghidorah was flat out superior.
God, the scene, bro.
Evolved Godzilla evolved to store and regulate radiation in a safer manner.
Bro, I love King of the Monsters. Hold on. There's something in this here. I know he's in there somewhere. Yo, where's the end on, bro? Godzilla's in there somewhere on screen. Maybe Ghidorah too. But you guys gotta believe me, they're in there. I know for a fact when they rendered this scene, it took like 2 minutes max. It was just a blue screen the entire time.
Was ill-prepared to fight Ghidorah. Ghidorah was flat out superior. As he's described as the league above
King of the Monsters. This might have to be the worst in King of the Monsters, bro. It's genuinely just so blue.
All of the other Titans, as Godzilla is the only chance that humanity has to stand against him. When Ghidorah amped himself, that's when things really got out of Godzilla's reach. For him to win, he needed to operate in an overflow state where his energy ended up exceeding containment, and was so powerful that it needed to be vented, hence the pulses. So you may ask, why did Godzilla evolve to fight Shimo then? Well, he learned. He learned that in order to fight a Titan like Ghidorah, in this case Shimo, he needs to have an immense amount of power. But going thermonuclear was dangerous. It would have killed him if not for Mothra's sacrifice. So in order to fight Shimo,
I would say that's headcanon there.
While not killing himself, his evolution allowed him to harness a large amount of power, not as extreme, but in a safe way. This does not mean that Evolved was holding more powerful energy than Thermo, rather more powerful energy than before he went unstable, so he's not at risk to himself. As Thermo, on the other hand, far exceeded the stable limits. If Evolved were holding more powerful radiation, we would be able to see comparable durability, as well as destructive outputs of thermonuclear Godzilla, except we don't. Control is being able to sustain it, but overflowing is peak power. Those two things are not the same. You might
that was off center.
We don't. Control is being able to sustain it, but overflowing is peak power. Those two.
Is it off center? Hold on. This is editing guy here. Oh, that's very off. Mark, if you're watching, is he in chat? Rodan. You are. Mark, I'll show you the secret on how to do this. There's an exact ratio size that you need to put it at.
Things are not the same. You might point to the GXK novelization saying, no one has ever seen readings like this. Well, let's get into why one, isn't as huge as you might think, and secondly, the fact that it blatantly contradicts the films in scaling. As I just mentioned, if
God, if you can hear me, please do not have him use the Argo argument. The Argo is turned around, therefore the radar didn't pick it up. Please, Mark. You're better than this.
Supercharged Evolved was truly more powerful, we'd see it in his destructive power. So let's compare the two feats. Starting off with thermonuclear Godzilla. This form of the King of the Monsters features the ability to release nuclear pulses, being insanely devastating releases of excess energy, and the results speak for themselves. 2 pulses reduce a Ghidorah that not only absorbed the entire Boston grid, but even Godzilla's own thermonuclear energy that was already infused with Mothra's life force to expose Skeleton and Ash. A fully overcharged world-ending Titan that had amped himself twice was deleted not over time but in mere seconds. And this part is the real kicker. Only half of those pulses even directly struck Ghidorah. The rest radiated outward, melting buildings and incinerating the city. Thermonuclear Godzilla wasn't even focusing all of his output on his target, and it was still enough to erase him almost instantaneously. And an even greater feat is that his final large pulse was so powerful that it left a multiple mile-wide crater in Boston, which is something not even I realized at first. And if you can't tell by what I'm showing you, it's also backed up in the novelization quote for quote, and he began to discern the crater where he'd last seen the 2 Titans. The thermonuclear form itself is one of Godzilla's greatest feats. Directly said by Michael Dougherty, Mothra's sacrifice allowed Godzilla to become overcharged. Godzilla was already supercharged by the nuclear warhead. Mothra's sacrifice amped him further. A lot of people will summarize Godzilla's burning form as merely merely just the power of a nuke, with Mothra keeping him alive.
Yes.
When in reality, Mothra's life force not only kept him alive, but increased his power to such a large degree that Godzilla is distilled down to his most powerful essence.
He's using the energy that he feeds off of as a weapon. So essentially, it's Godzilla distilled down to his most powerful essence.
The power jump from Nuke Camp to his thermonuclear form was so...
Where's the proof that Mothra gave him energy, though? Because I've heard that as an argument over the years, but there's the life force to make sure he didn't die, but there's nothing that says that directly means he got power from her.
Unquantifiable that his previous supercharged atomic breath couldn't even dent Ghidorah, whilst these pulses atomized him. And while we're still on the topic, while this isn't Godzilla releasing a...
Yeah, if we're gonna compare this to... We're at 10 minutes. Okay, I got a little rant. If we're gonna compare this to Supercharge in terms of destructive capacity, that's not... Supercharge wasn't trying to destroy a city. I mean, it's not like saying Thermo was either. Thermo wasn't like, you know what, screw this building, right? Even though he couldn't break some of the buildings. Building level monsterverse, city level. If Mark's here, he gets the joke. But that's just because, yeah, it's a pulse. He can't hold the radiation. So it's just going to violently be going out in every direction. Supercharge was trying to channel his energy to make sure he could actually damage his foes and, you know, fight. Not to mention also Supercharge can put out pulses. It's just the beam is just a more condensed pulse. It's just that energy being condensed down to a finer point and in turn would do more damage.
Pulse. This is arguably one of his best showings of his power, if not his best one. You guys remember that Nuke Amp beam that we constantly talk about? After striking Ghidorah's chest for an extended time, it fails to even dent Ghidorah. But in his thermonuclear form, Godzilla's strength is increased to such a large degree that Ghidorah's chest, which has been shown to be one of the most durable parts of his body, is stomped right through. This further backs up that Mothra's life force didn't merely just keep Godzilla alive, rather it amped Godzilla to an outrageous level. Evolved Godzilla couldn't replicate this when stomping on Kong. And if you want to say his supercharged state increases his physical strength to such a degree that he'd be able to replicate what Thermo did,
I mean, if we were to go full power scaling that, I wouldn't really agree with. That would just be Kong upscale. Kong would be above Ghidorah, which, I mean, honestly, with power creeping isn't stupid to say, but I don't fully go with that idea either. But it also just comes down to weight as well, which I think the whole Kong scene, I mean, as I imagine you probably mentioned, is only because of the sand distributing the weight out. I mean, I think, yeah, you've told me that Adam Wingard said that if it wasn't for the fact that Kong was on sand, he would have gotten killed as well in that exact scene. So, I mean, also, yeah, this is just Ghidorah. I mean, already bring a death. He can't really fight back at this point versus, you know, having a 99,000-ton foot stomping onto him, burning through his skin. So, they're a little different. This stomp scaling. Roar scaling versus stomp scaling.
Well, as seen in the movie, he's clearly not much stronger physically, as he was already competing with Shimo in his base form, and then supercharging himself now allows him to be interchangeable. He's still only able to tackle Shimo and grapple off screen. You can't just, you know, headcanon your way through it. These feats are not something...
Oh, hold on.
Still only able to tackle Shimo and grapple off screen. You can't just, you know, headcanon.
Well, yeah, it's like that radiation's already there. It's just him then putting that into his powerful attacks. Not like he doesn't go supercharged and like right in that moment become 20 times stronger or more durable. He already is that in his evolved. And going supercharged, it's just bringing that energy out to put into his attacks. That's already there existing in him. It's like, what would be an example? I don't know if it's a great example, kind of thing like throwing up, right? You have that calories, right? That meal you ate in your system that is powering you, right? It's giving you the calories you need. And then for whatever reason, let's say you need to hit a guy in the face with your stomach acid, you're bringing it out, like literally physically out of your body. That's a really bad example. That's might be worse than the car example. But yeah, no, he's already in that heightened state. That's why, like I have said, evolved and supercharged are essentially the same level of strength and durability. It's literally just a couple second difference of him charging that power and siphoning it, right? It's like think of Godzilla evolved as like the sun, right? And then supercharged is the sun plus a magnifying glass, where he's finally magnifying that power he already has down, right? That might be a better example than vomiting on your enemy.
And in your...
You want to fight? Bet.
Wait through it. These feats are not something Supercharged Evolved Godzilla has ever come close to replicating on screen, and I'll show you. As we just went over how powerful Thermo's pulses were, how powerful was the Spiral Ray? Let's go over what he was able to do with it. For starters, it's stated in the novelization that the Spiral Ray is the strongest atomic breath Godzilla's ever released, as it emphasizes how it jetted out of his mouth. This would automatically put it above Nuke Amp's atomic breath. After supercharging himself, the Spiral Ray hits Scar King in the back, and he's somehow not dead. Oh, but he only grazed him. Here's an example from Godzilla vs. Kong where it actually made sense. Godzilla hit Kong for half a second, and that ended up leaving a giant scar on his back that we see throughout Godzilla x Kong. Where is the inflicting injury on Scar King? How did he even survive if this is supposed to be from a supposedly stronger...
Well, if we go frame by frame on it, it wasn't nearly as impactful as a hit as the Kong one was. The Kong one directly hit him. This beam was already fired and happened to swing past his fur. That was not a direct... Oh, we've muted it. That was not a direct hit where the beam literally it's here. You know what? Let's actually here, everybody, welcome to class. Welcome to class. All right, let's get cooking. All right, class. Let's cook. The blunt end of the beam that Kong got hit with in GVK, right? That is over here. The beam is being blasted out over that. Okay, I don't want to hear anything from you guys. What Scar King's getting hit with is the side of it, right? Think of it almost like a sword, right? Let's draw a sword, yeah? I have an art team for a reason. I want to hear it, all right? Oh, oof. Let me fire my art team. Hold on, I'm cooking. What Kong got hit with was this, the blade part. What Scar King is getting hit with is the back. It is literally like rubbing against his back. It was not a direct hit, such as the one with Kong. There were two entirely different attacks there. Back to the chest scaling, back to the stomp scaling, but it's entirely two different beams that hit. Well, literally. But Kong got hit directly in the back, like instantly, from the blunt part of the beam. Scar King, as if let's literally go frame, is getting grazed by a beam. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 frames he was hit by a beam that literally just passed over his back. Yeah, if it did hit him straight in the back, that probably would have done significant damage. I don't think it would have killed him, just because, again, the power creep, as I'll cover in my video when I manage to do it. But, yeah, I mean, it wasn't the same attack as the one that hit Kong.
Be from a supposedly stronger Godzilla. Why did virtually the same thing happen to characters with relative durability when being hit with two vastly different attacks in terms of power? Scar King gets right back up.
Okay, also that was a GVK Kong, who is much weaker than his GXK counterpart, not to mention, again, you know, like, the power creep alone, right? Like, let's just talk about the power creep of the film itself. Literally exclusively looking at Kong, Scar King is much more durable. And again, two different beams entirely. Or at least how the beams hit.
Up and chases after the crystal. Once retrieving it, he is happy as can be right after being hit by Godzilla's atomic breath. This is only 12 seconds after. Let's take a look at how Kong reacted to being hit by
dead frame.
B right after being hit by Godzilla's atomic breath. This is only 12 seconds after.
Mark, if you're watching, this is where I'll dick on your video, because as a fellow YouTuber, it's my job to point out your editing mistakes.
Take a look.
Right there, 1 frame. It's a thing when you're a YouTuber, you'll notice when you edit a whole bunch. You will notice it in other videos. Look at that. 1 frame.
Take a look at how Kong reacted to being hit by a weaker atomic breath.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow. And if you want to argue that the plot demanded it, there are multiple instances in the Monsterverse where you can call plot armor. Take Godzilla being
no, I'm not calling plot here. This is just two very different beams hitting.
Disrupted by the charges in Godzilla vs. Kong, but somehow Kong wasn't. You can call that plot armor. But then later, it directly hits Shimo for a prolonged period of time, and nothing happens to her.
Yeah, she's like the most durable Titan in the verse. Even more than Godzilla.
After 5 seconds of consecutive fire, there is no damage done. But one thing a lot of people don't realize happens right before Godzilla beams Shimo. There is an even worse showing than not being able to kill Scar King. But sure, let's go down the road of plot armor and look at another example, where you can't use that as an excuse. As Scar King's holding the crystal in his hand, the same spiral ray directly hits the crystal. The same crystal that was destroyed with a single axe swing from Suko. Are you kidding me? I'll even put it in slow-mo so you guys can see. As you can see, the crystal is directly hit, causing it to be displaced and falls to the ground. Based on everything we've gone over, Thermo's nuclear pulses are the stronger attack. Now here's where we move into Ghidorah and Shimo's relativity.
Yeah, that I can't really debunk too much. You know, it's just like it's just a really weird outlier. But also, I mean, if you want to get more into it, you can of course cover the fact that I'll cover this because I'm not going to cover that in my video. That's a really weird argument. But one is a, you know, like energy crystal getting hit by more energy that just had to get pushed, right? It's like it didn't burn. It's not like a living thing that's gonna have flesh that gets burnt, right? It's a weird kaiju crystal thing, versus the like somewhat charged axe there, as we see it's glowing blue. It comes down to Mechagodzilla durability again, right? It is channeling the power of a atomic breath down to a single like square foot of power, and you're slamming a sharp supercharged axe down onto a crystal. That makes sense from a literal scientific point of view, right? If you take a piece of glass and blast it with a torch, right? Nothing's gonna happen to it. It's just gonna sit there. I mean, if you hit it for a long enough time, it's gonna melt, right? Or it might shatter, but it's like it's gonna melt or break. But that's after a long, long, long time. Versus, okay, we have our torch that hit the glass, nothing happened. Now that same glass shard, let's take an axe, let's take a pickaxe to it, right? And swing that down full force. You see the issue there? This Goji guy just talking out of his mind, but yeah, I wouldn't say that's a really weird argument and kind of a flawed one. That's a really, really random one for sure. But it's unique.
Because a very common counter-argument is that the reason the Spiral Ray didn't do anything to Shimo is because Shimo's vastly superior to Ghidorah. Shimo and Ghidorah are absolutely relative, and let's get into the why behind this claim. A lot of people point to one of them taking no damage and the other getting one-tapped. And this is because of siding with the opinion of Evolve being the most powerful form of Godzilla. If the beam was even comparable to the level of power the pulses emitted, it should have shot right through Scar King due to the fact that I think it's quite obvious he doesn't come close to either Ghidorah nor Shimo's durability. But let's talk about Ghidorah's durability. Ghidorah tanked Godzilla's prolonged atomic breath while in his new camp state for a total of 18 seconds, and it did absolutely nothing. Ghidorah endured all of Godzilla's previous beating, and merely being able to survive the pulses for as long as he did is impressive on its own. Ghidorah is anything but weak. He is immensely powerful and extremely durable, and Thermo's pulses just
number 3 in the verse, yeah.
If you want to argue that Shimo is so much more durable than Ghidorah, that she would be able to shrug off the same pulses that completely disintegrated Ghidorah, neither do the films or statements support this. While Shimo might be able to handle it slightly better due to her ice nature, it wouldn't be enough of a gap to argue that as the reason why Shimo was just fine after concentrated.
No, I would say absolutely, yeah. There's nothing that says directly that has like Shimo over Thermo Godzilla, but again, it's just a victim of power creeping. It's just once you look at the just creeping of the verse, yeah, Shimo would be able to tank the thermonuclear blasts.
Attack from Evolve.
Also, I don't. If anyone, let me say this in chat. Nobody here, please do not argue because Shimo is ice. That's somehow going to help her. That's not going to be relevant at all here, right? Like the Frostvark has like cooling powers. He would not survive a thermonuclear blast. Do not run with ice as your argument.
So while that's what the movies show, let's get into the main part of why these two are indeed relative.
Don't be the designer statement, Mark.
Directly supported by their ancient battles, the Godzilla x Kong novelization, and of course, Monarch Files. Ghidorah and Shimo both fought an ancient Godzilla who was confirmed to power up in a similar manner to how he did in Godzilla x Kong before every encounter. But before we get into those battles, let's stop for a second and look at what ancient Godzilla actually shows. With the release of the Monarch Files, we now know Kong's Beast Glove amplifies the force of his punches by 10 times. Despite that enormous increase, Kong is still clearly stronger physically, but Scar King can still hold his own. Throughout the entire anti-gravity
Well, he's not 10 times stronger himself. It's just that one arm.
Fight and Rio, Scar King is still able to trade blows with Kong, withstand charge-up punches with little damage, stagger him into Shimo, and even restrain him over the crystal. A Kong whose punches are amplified by 10 times is still only somewhat above Scar King.
Well, yeah, that's not Kong being 10 times stronger. That's just his one arm being 10. It's hitting 10 times harder. When it's just existing, it's just, I mean, the only thing better there is just the fact that there's a metal coating.
Yet ancient Godzilla defeated not just Scar King, but Scar King and his entire army while relying only on a natural supercharge.
Yeah, I mean, but he almost died too.
And remember, the natural supercharge is still inferior to the nuclear amps modern Godzilla later receives. As the nuclear energy produced by humanity...
Whoa, what?
The natural supercharge is still inferior to the nuclear amps modern Godzilla later receives. As the nuclear...
I said it was superior. I was like, what?
Energy produced by humanity is vastly more potent.
I was like, where is that ever said? That's not a Thermo versus Evolve debate. That's just a what?
Despite ancient Godzilla being that far above Scar King on his own, he still struggled against the Titans above that tier. Ghidorah is confirmed as Godzilla's main ancient rival. Shimo and Ghidorah both fought Godzilla in the past, with Ghidorah clearly having survived several encounters. Keep in mind, Godzilla fought Shimo single-handedly. Both fought Godzilla in the past, with Ghidorah clearly having survived several encounters.
That could also just be different cave paintings, like depicting the same thing. But to each their own. That's not really a super important thing there. That's just I don't know. That's in a range where like, and it's not even because like I'm arguing supercharge. It's like if same thing for Shimo, right? If there was multiple different cave paintings of Shimo fighting Godzilla, given that we know they've only fought once, I'm not going to argue that like, oh, Godzilla fought Shimo multiple times. Like all we know as of now is that they fought once canonically. So just because of different cave paintings, that's.
Keep in mind,
Also, I also love to bring this up. It always looks like there's like a queen with her long legs or a female Muto here. Am I going nuts? I swear, I want to get an answer on this. I'd love to make a short on this. Maybe it was Abaddon, because Abaddon's like super duper old. Or maybe it was just a Muto watching, just like, yeah, please, Ghidorah win, please.
Keep in mind, Godzilla fought Shimo single-handedly, no outside help, and beat her. Ghidorah is getting jumped by Godzilla.
He got dominated. What are we talking about? What? Yeah, repelled doesn't mean he won. That just means he, like, had her leave. Also, is that a toy? Mark, brother. I don't know if you can find where the scan is from, but the actual, like, canon says that she was dominating him in their fight. Their one fight that they've had. I don't know. That could also just be in reference to him, like, trapping her, not winning. So, if you okay, whoa. Guys, don't be an ass in the chat. I disagree with Mark's take, but don't be like hating. Does it look like Muto? It does. It does.
Ghidorah is getting jumped by Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan. 3 Titans to fight Ghidorah, and we know he survived this considering that's not when he got trapped in ice. Godzilla's Atomic Breath was able to Beam Clash against Shimo, and that same Atomic Breath Beam Clash with only 2 heads of Ghidorah's. This would actually allow Ghidorah to at minimum stalemate, if not overpower, the Frostbite Blast. As we
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
No, it doesn't pack a lot of damage behind the beam itself, rather that comes with the ice effect. Well, why would Godzilla not need assistance when battling?
I want to teach you guys here, but I also don't want to just like have this be a debunk Mark stream, so I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I'll eventually post an actual video on this later.
Shimo, if she's the far superior opponent to
I also want to say this, just because I disagree with this, and if you guys might not like his take on this, do not be like hating. I see that all the time. That's such a weird idea to me, like from a lot of scalers. They're like, oh, I hate Goji Guy because he said this one take 5 years ago. It's like, that's such like, if you're going to watch a channel until they say something you don't like, you're going to have no channels to watch. You're going to just be upset and have nothing to watch. So just because you might disagree with his take on this, do not stop watching Mark. Mark still makes insanely well-made content. He's my Padawan. I taught him everything I know. But no. Go watch Mark's videos. Go watch his What If. It's doing crazy, but, you know, go support it as well. Just because there's one take you might disagree with, that's always just a weird concept to me. Like, oh, he's had one take I don't like. I'm not going to watch anymore. That's so dumb. Go keep watching his videos.
Ghidorah. Why need the assistance of other titans to battle Ghidorah? Ancient battles directly support their relativity, but let's go over some statements. Shimo is theorized to be worse than Ghidorah, but not by a quantifiable amount. It's directly said that Shimo is like another Monster Zero, and near the end of the novelization, our characters figure out that Shimo isn't like Ghidorah in her nature, as in not wanting to destroy the planet. In Monarch Files, the most recent
Nope, I'm gonna shut up. I'm not going to cover those for now. I'm just
characters figure out that Shimo isn't like Ghidorah in her nature, as in not wanting to destroy the planet. In Monarch Files, the most recent source of monstrous statements, it directly says that Shimo is not unlike King Ghidorah in being a world-ending titan, placing them in the same tier. The significance of—
What a weird way— me and Mark talked about that. What an absolute weird way of grammar. Is not unlike King Ghidorah. Just say they're similar. What are we doing?
These 3 statements is that it places Ghidorah as the benchmark. If Shimo is absolutely superior in every single way, and would supposedly curb stomp Ghidorah, why even mention him? Why compare the 2? Saying the 2 aren't relative is just completely ignoring the statements that people love to use. There's a reason they call Ghidorah Godzilla's greatest rival and not Shimo, despite her existing in canon during the time of Ghidorah.
Whoa, what? No. The statement saying Ghidorah is the strongest ever, a lot of those come from pre-GXK time, before Shimo was an idea in the Monsterverse. Also, a lot of that, again, it just comes down to 2 characters can be a planetary level threat, and one can be a lot stronger. One can be over 50 times stronger and still be planetary.
If Ghidorah fought Ancient Godzilla multiple times in the past, and Shimo fought Ancient Godzilla multiple times as well, it would imply that both titans hold their own against Godzilla, which—
There's one statement now, that is the new one, that being the thing that says they're both planetary level threats in Monarch Files. But the other ones that existed beforehand, those are old. Those are old Unk statements.
Then brings up another reason as to why Evolved Godzilla is not—
Those are— what was that, 2019, 2020, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. That was 6 GXK, 6 BGXK, 6 years before GXK.
Not 20 times more powerful. In the novelization, it directly says Shimo and Supercharged are now going back and forth. If Shimo was able to go back and forth with a quote-unquote 20 times more powerful Godzilla than base, how on earth was Ancient Godzilla able to not only fight Shimo, but trap and beat her? If the gap was so extreme, like many arguments—
Yeah, he was getting— I want to keep— I gotta stop like just talking, but with a sentence that no other power shield have ever said. I gotta stop talking. Again, that just comes down to Godzilla was getting dominated by her in their fight. That's outright said. And I mean, I don't know the exact chapter off my dome, but I know the exact wording. I have it written down. He got dominated by her, and so in turn, he locked her away. Think of it like Naruto. a lot of fights in Naruto, characters will fight people that are much stronger. I'm pretty sure Madara. They're like, we have no way of winning, so trap him. The only way we can win is if we get rid of him as a threat in the way of not killing him, but in trapping him so that they can't be a problem anymore. That is essentially what happened with Godzilla and Shimo, with taking all the scans into account. He got dominated by her, so his only option he had was to lock her away.
To revolve depend on, these instances of them fighting in the past wouldn't even make sense. And if you want to say, oh, but Godzilla didn't beat Shimo, he trapped her, then Godzilla didn't beat Ghidorah, who he previously needed the aid of Mothra and Rodan to combat Ghidorah. He merely trapped him in ice. See how that sounds? Reminder guys, the whole point of this is not to say Ghidorah and Shimo are flat out identical. The point is that they're in the same tier of Titan, which if it's true, then Thermo's performance against Ghidorah is directly comparable to Evolve's performance against Shimo. Godzilla was the one to trap Ghidorah. Shimo indirectly froze him. It's been stated several times Shimo was responsible for the recent Ice Age and several others in the past. It's then stated in Godzilla the Art of Destruction that the reason Ghidorah froze was due to the water rapidly freezing thanks to the Ice Age. And we know this lines up with Shimo, because in the novelization of Godzilla x Kong, there's traces of Shimo's ice on Ghidorah.
This comes down to how you take these scans. I have a whole system. There's a tiering system on scans. Tier 0 is just that new beats old, right? Anything that is from a tier 1 or tier 2, which tier 1s are movies, films, and shows. Wow, movies, films, shows. Movies, films, and something else. And novelizations. Tier 2 are comics. Anything from a tier 1 or tier 2 that is new, so aka also a tier 0, aka new over old, it will outdo any older, lower tier statement. If that makes sense. I'd have to pull it up, but I don't want to show all that off until we get to those videos. But yeah, let's keep moving.
They also mentioned scorch marks being on Ghidorah's body, which would have been the result of Godzilla's atomic breath. Obviously, not Shimo's frostbite blast. Moving on, too many things point to Ghidorah and Shimo being somewhat relative to each other.
Well, also because Ghidorah's region isn't that good. The whole head scene's because he drained the power of the volcano.
For this to not be the case, whether it's what they displayed in the film, too many things point to Ghidorah and Shimo being somewhat relative to each other for this to not be the case. Whether it's what they displayed in the films, context of ancient battles, the novelizations, and Monarch Files. But even if you still want to ignore all of that, Monarch Files directly states Ghidorah as the world's greatest threat. In excess material, it's confirmed only when Skarking and Shimo are paired together do they become a superior threat to Ghidorah. It's stated that Ghidorah would have wiped the world completely of life, including all of the Titans. If Ghidorah is the world's greatest threat, and only then is Skarking and Shimo combined a greater threat.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not saying... Sorry, I'm very dyslexic, chat. It's not saying... I want to say that directly means, like, they together are the top one. It's just, like, they become one of the most, right? In the sense of, like, yeah, they become one of the most powerful ones along with Ghidorah. But also, even if you want to assume that just means Ghidorah upscale them because they have to be together to become on par with him, that just becomes an outlier, right? A lot of the stuff that we've covered here, there's either stuff that's missing context, stuff that's just not true anymore, stuff that can be easily debunked, right? If you want to use it as an outlier, yeah, I mean, you can't, there's certain stuff you can't disprove. Which that's an issue with a lot of modern scaling and power and debates. It's like you need to disprove everything the other person says. No, other person can make a good point that you can't exactly have a thing off the bat to disprove them with. I'm not gonna make my video as a debunk to Mark's. I'm just gonna make mine just covering all the main points, which include a lot of points that Mark's covering here. But I want to say this also just directly means that Ghidorah is somehow, like, just the top one ever, right?
Than ever before, this further backs up that the statements aren't merely saying Shimo and Ghidorah are world enders, rather placing them in the same tier. And especially for Monarch Files, placing a Titan in the class of world ender is not in reference to how they affect the planet, like Ghidorah changing the weather or Shimo creating ice ages. And to back this claim up, Eileen Andrews explains that Shimo's ice age by placing them in the same tier. And especially for Monarch Files, placing a Titan in the class of world ender is not in reference to how they affect the planet, like Ghidorah changing the weather or Shimo creating ice.
Okay. Mark, if you're watching, I'm gonna tell you now, just in the future, that is actually false. That is not an opinion-based thing. That is actually false. They also have Mudos in World Ender because of what they could have been. The whole World Ender status, of course, relies a lot on power and, strength and yada yada. That actually, literally comes down to how they affect the globe. The Mudos are World Enders because of the eggs. Ghidorah's a World Ender because of his environment, his effect on the environment around him. Shima's a World Ender because of the ice. That actually if you are still watching, that one though, that actually is false. I'm telling you, as your brother, as your fellow YouTuber, that one though, that one actually is false. It is because of their powers. Just want to make that known.
Ice Ages. And to back this claim up, Eileen Andrews explains that Shimo's Ice Ages aren't world-ending events. Earth has naturally gone through Ice Ages before, and life persisted through them. If the environmental effects of her ice powers aren't what makes her a world-ender, then the context points towards it being because of the threat posed by Shimo herself as a Titan. This same principle would apply to Ghidorah. And the final piece of the puzzle would be this scan right here. As it effects of her ice power world-ending events, weather, or Shimo creating Ice Ages. And to back this claim up, Eileen Andrews explains that Shimo's Ice Ages aren't world-ending events. Earth has naturally gone through Ice Ages before, and life persisted through them. If the environmental effects of her ice powers aren't what makes her a world-ender, then the context points towards it being because of the threat posed by Shimo herself as a Titan.
Well, also, I mean, yeah, life persists. Life finds a way, you know? But the majority, it's like, world ender doesn't literally mean like, oh, it's going to just like strip the surface just of how it is. That just means like, it's going to essentially just redo Earth, right? Neither of them are planetary in the sense like blowing Earth up, but like, they're just going to wipe out everything in their way. Right? Ice Ages kill almost every species that have been there. You know, Ghidorah with his hurricane, that's going to kill almost everything there. Almost, right? If Ghidorah brings his storm somewhere really high up, the floods aren't going to reach. If he brings his storm anywhere, there's going to be plenty of fish that'll survive. Yeah, they both are going to wipe out what essentially like is like surface land Earth, right? But there's going to be stuff that will survive. Bacteria, fish, animals that are adapted and ready to face that climate. That comes down to like actual, like, if we're gonna argue like actual historical, you know, like paleological, if that's a word, events, then yeah, I mean, Ice Ages haven't ever wiped out all of life. You and me are here talking about this, you know?
Principle would apply to Ghidorah. And the final
Thank you with the 440 joules for the Unk Alert. Appreciate it, man.
Piece of the puzzle would be this scan right here. As a commemoration of the Monsterverse, it gives us a deep dive into the opponents Godzilla has faced, including the Mutos, Ghidorah, as well as summaries of the characters in Godzilla x Kong. But here's the most important part. It actually references Ghidorah after talking about Shimo. If you translate the Japanese to the bottom left of the page, it directly states the following: truly the greatest and most fearsome enemy of Godzilla, in reference to Ghidorah. So yes, Ghidorah and Shimo are relative to each other based on 6 separate statements.
Well, most of us have been debunked here on stream. Huh, I'm a professional debunker. But also, yeah, I mean, firstly, I'm gonna try and I do have a guy in contact that is able to translate direct kanji, because translating Japanese to English is so difficult. It's not just like put it in a Google Translate. There's so many little nuances within kanji and katakana and whatnot. So it's hard to say. But also, again, the saying just Godzilla, right? That's the biggest threat to Godzilla that he has faced alone, right? Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would say the fight with him in Boston would be a greater fight than his fight with Shima. He couldn't really trap Ghidorah away. We have to keep in mind that it took Godzilla, Kong, it took Godzilla Evolved, it took Kong with Beast Glove and Axe, it took the help of Mothra, the help of the humans, it took all of that to take on Shimo and Scar King, you know? So sure, I mean, yeah, you can argue that Ghidorah is the biggest threat at the time. Yeah, but again, Shimo with, you know, Scar King, but also Shimo by herself is a much larger threat. Kill with the 100. Welcome in, man. Good you guy. I said I'd make it. You did, man. I appreciate it. Let me get you on screen. If you're gonna be there later, Kill, we will be on Goju Center's live stream. Goju Center and I will be chatting about the Monarch files. So make sure to be there. That'll be at like 9 p.m. ish, EST. So try and make it if you can. Let me get this up on the screen. Thank you. All the donos go towards the what ifs and also the next like hypothetical stuff, such as Kong full Beast Glove stuff. But thank you, Kill. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Let's go. Let's keep watching.
So when you put every piece together, the chain looks like this. Ancient Godzilla is massively above Scar King individually, and he's still powerful enough to defeat Scar King alongside his army. Scar King is relative to Beast Glove Kong as seen in their fights in the Anti-Gravity and Rio.
I'm gonna let him talk. I'm not gonna just like sit here and debunk the entire chain. That'd be really stupid.
Ancient Godzilla superior. This then puts New Camp and Energized Godzilla above Beast Glove Kong as their larger amps thanks to the more potent.
I'll say this. If you go with Mark's line of chain scaling, yeah, Thermo would be on top. Yeah. It's just, is that line of change scaling the most accurate? I'd have to disagree. I'd have to heavily disagree. There's a lot of things that are missing context or stuff that's been redone in canon. But if you go with his line, right, if you take his line over mine, then yeah, I could see absolutely why you would say Thermo over Supercharged.
Potent radiation. And before you say Kong is 10 times stronger and knocked out Evolved Godzilla, one, New Camp and Energizer are very close in power to Base Evolved already, and secondly, Godzilla and Kong's Egypt battle doesn't mean Beast of Kong is equal to Base Evolved Godzilla, as we all saw what happened 10 seconds later. Ancient Godzilla is severely outclassed against Ghidorah, hence requiring the help of Mothra and Rodan against Ghidorah. Ancient Godzilla struggles against Shimo, so he uses his surroundings to beat Shimo. This is roughly the same format as how Godzilla dealt with Ghidorah. He's outmatched against his opponent, so he uses the environment to trap and beat Ghidorah. Shimo and Ghidorah are constantly portrayed as occupying roughly the same tier. Supercharged Evolved only reaches the point where he can finally go back and forth with Shimo, meanwhile Thermonuclear Godzilla completely disintegrates and amped Ghidorah. Now, someone might argue that classifying the two titans as world enders doesn't necessarily mean they're close in power, and that's 100% true, but that's also not the argument I've been making. The statements for being world enders, I'm not presenting those as standalone parts. They're simply one piece of the bigger picture. Ancient Godzilla's battles, the repeated comparison between the two, and every statement pointing in the same direction. None of these statements alone, such as simply classifying the two as world enders, does not prove they're close in power, but if you take everything into account, Shimo and Ghidorah are in the same class of titan. It's not something like a gap between someone who is planetary versus large planetary, rather Shimo and Ghidorah would both be planetary. I am not saying their scaling caps are planetary. This is just an example. But before we move on, let's take a quiz. Get your pencils and paper out, everyone, and for our first and only question, what difficulty does Shimo beat amped Ghidorah? A, Ghidorah wins. B, Shimo wins high extreme diff. C, Shimo wins low mid diff. Or D, Shimo wins negative difficulty.
Low mid. This is an opinion based though, it's not factual.
Alright, pencils down, everyone. Well, if you said anything but answer D, congratulations. You just indirectly proved Thermonuclear Godzilla is more powerful. Why?
Interesting.
Evolved Godzilla, only after supercharging, was able to finally go 50-50 with Shimo. Directly said in the novelization, if Shimo is as strong as Evolved, and Evolved is supposedly stronger than Thermonuclear, then Shimo should beat Ghidorah with the same amount of difficulty. If you want to follow that logic, but as we just proved above, Ghidorah and Shimo are in fact relative, so you can't. Evolved can't dent Shimo.
Again, it's if you got that change scaling.
Relative opponent to Ghidorah, and Thermo atomized him. And to add on, if you actually answer D because of Shimo's Frostbite Blast, that's like saying Godzilla no-diffs Kong because his Atomic Breath can one-shot him. Or even Mechagodzilla no-diffing Kong because he can one-shot him with the Proton Scream. Just because there's a method of one-shotting does not automatically make it a fight with no difficulty. And as we saw both times, these situations are far from no difficulty. Next up is one of the most important things about Thermonuclear Godzilla that people flat out ignore. The fact that he not only no-celled the amped gravity beams, but also absorbed the energy of them, which is confirmed in the novelization. The fact is, since Thermonuclear Godzilla displays an ability that is specific to that form, it is without a doubt plausible that if Evolved shoots his Atomic Breath, Thermo could absorb it just as he did in the film with the gravity beams. The fact that he absorbed a completely different energy signature, Ghidorah's gravity beams, supports my claim. But wouldn't he explode considering he was already overflowing? No, and for two reasons. Mothra's life force allowed him to actually control the overflowing amount of energy. He was unstable and about to explode prior to entering the special form, not during it. Without her sacrifice, he would have exploded and died. Secondly, he absorbed the most powerful version of Ghidorah's gravity beams throughout the entire film just fine, showing that additional energy wouldn't overload him. While Godzilla has a standard energy absorption ability, such as draining radiation from the planet, absorbing it from a nuclear bomb, or nuclear power plants, the ability to absorb energy in this way is strictly limited to Thermonuclear Godzilla. In the novelization of King of the Monsters, it is directly said Godzilla took it, absorbed it, and kept coming. Well, couldn't Evolve do the same? No. If you want to imply that he can, because Godzilla is releasing his own energy, thus making Evolve capable, that's just wrong. Godzilla's burning form was never supposed to happen. It is literally an unachievable form that happened thanks to two very specific criteria: critical mass and Mothra dying, releasing her life force onto Godzilla, combining with it to amp him even further. Godzilla can't replicate that energy on his own. Claiming Evolved could absorb energy-based attacks the same way, especially Thermonuclear's pulses, is pure headcanon. Not to mention, Evolved wasn't shown harnessing the ability to absorb direct energy-based attacks in his evolved form, as seen when Shimo shot her Frostbite Blast. Godzilla did the complete opposite of absorbing the attack. Keep in mind, the Frostbite Blast is still an energy-based attack. It's not just throwing ice. It's Shimo's version of the Atomic Breath. And to add further on why this is strictly limited to Thermonuclear Godzilla, is that we can take other instances of Godzilla being hit with an energy-based attack and not absorbing the energy. Mechagodzilla's Proton Scream, he didn't absorb it. Ghidorah's gravity beams prior to Thermonuclear didn't absorb it. The reason as to why Evolved can't, besides the fact that he already didn't show the ability to, is that his evolution is his new base. Supercharging himself is an ability that comes with his evolution. This does not magically make him able to replicate Thermo's ability to again absorb energy-based attacks. Moving on, we have Thermo and Evolved's respective statements and how they compare to what
when it comes to that, yeah, you could argue that he could absorb it, but he would still explode. He would still explode. I don't really think there's anything ever that gets in my mind on that part. Because you have to keep in mind, it's like, yeah, Mothra gave him what he needed to survive that amount, right? But now let's assume, okay, because of course Mark, still agrees somewhat that they are somewhat on par, right? But now let's just put another thermonuclear into it. Think of it like a dam that has like an emergency system to be able to drain more water before the dam itself breaks, right? Like emergency pipes to push out excess water that are very rarely used. Yeah, if you pour more water, right, a certain amount more, such as King Ghidorah's beams, that being the power here, into it, he'll be able to use that and just pulse it back out. Let's pour an entire other dam into that dam that's already almost at its capacity, right? Thermo will just explode. The energy absorption will act against him. He'll just explode. Also, and if you want to assume it's not going to, that's then saying Mothra's life force energy, not her radiation, her life force, so like her soul, is somehow above supercharged power, which if you're going to have on par with Thermo, that just means 2019 Mothra is stronger than Thermo and Supercharge. You see where that's like kind of weird, kind of odd? You see what I mean? So, I mean, yeah, Thermo could absorb it. Sure, he'd die. I mean, look at the dorsal plates alone. Thermo's plates didn't melt. They were completely unaffected. And they were arguably, possibly weakened, air quotes there, because this dude just dropped from the stratosphere, and his plates were fine from releasing all that power. Look at Evolved. His plates literally melted away. They were gone. He'll have new plates in the new film. They melted away, you know? There's plenty of stuff that's like, there's the one thing that like, oh, he controlled his energy. Yeah, for the thermonuclear state. Not if he then got amped by a supercharged evolved Godzilla.
What's shown in
Doug
the
still solos. Mods, blow that guy up.
Thermonuclear Godzilla, described as godlike in the GXK novelization when talking about his power. It makes sense. Like a god, he was unkillable and harnessed an incomprehensible amount of power. He was said to be glowing like a dying sun. Makes sense. Glowing very brightly, as well as despite being able to control the energy, still very dangerous for Godzilla. It was also stated that his heart was the core of a red sun about to go supernova. Again, it makes sense.
I mean, this is all hyperbole, though. This isn't like It's like Ghidorah having the power of 100 storms. If you want to go star for star, it says in the GXK novel that Godzilla's eyes were glowing like stars themselves. Neutron stars, I believe, actually. So that's just hyperbole. That's just an example. That's not actual scaling material.
We see his final pulse being so much more powerful and larger than the previous two that it leaves a massive crater. Plus, it was the sole release of the energy before Godzilla returned to his base form. Now for Evolved Godzilla. He has the most powerful atomic breath, specifically mentioned jetting out of his mouth. Much longer wind-up, channeling more energy, more visible destruction. Makes sense. Godzilla in his supercharged state was going back and forth with Shimo. He tackles her through the building, we can see them fighting in the background, and his base evolved state was doing pretty solid against her. It makes sense. Godzilla is said to have the highest energy readings before. No one's ever seen this. Well, the film doesn't really support this. If he had higher energy readings, he'd feature a more powerful attack and better durability. Thermo's feats are vastly superior, as we've already covered intensively. The movie doesn't support said statement. And to back this up further, the novelizations at times do not correlate one-to-one with the films. In the King of the Monsters novelization, when describing Thermo and Ghidorah's fight, it said the pulses were releasing so fast as if they were continuous, which clearly contradicts the fact that Godzilla only released 3 pulses. In the Godzilla X Kong novelization, it said that Godzilla released an explosion before slicing Tiamat with the atomic breath, which also contradicts the film. As in the movie, it cuts from the atomic breath charging to slicing the water. We saw earlier that Godzilla's nuclear
Okay, well, that was an edited thing there. There's nothing that says that he didn't, like, that, I've seen that quite a bit online. It's like between Mark and also my buddy Jack. I don't know why people are so against him using a pulse underwater. That makes logical sense. He can't beam right there. He'd be beaming his own mouth. It was shut. So it makes sense that he pulsed. But another thing. This is where a lot of people try and be like, oh, statement merchant supercharge, right? It's like, oh, look, some people use the toy statements, right? The toy statements are valid if you can build a sturdy foundation, right? If you can build an argument with tier 0, 1, and 2, right? So new over old, films, shows, comics, and novels, then yeah, you can use other stuff just to add on extra evidence, just to like increase your argument there. But the thing is, it's like, think of it like it's a visual thing, right? You can have Tengen versus what was his name? Morichiro? No. What was Tengen versus Gyutara? Sorry. Tengen versus Gyutara, right? They were going neck and neck, blow for blow. The visuals of them, right? They were going ham. They were destroying buildings and the city around them, right? Now look at Muzan, right? Muzan does his blood, the little blood spike stuff that he's able to do. Well, no, that was the thorns. No. Regardless, Muzan has his own abilities. Are they as bombastic? Are they as destructive and visually, like, whoa, look at that, as Gyutaro versus Tengen? No. Does that mean Gyutaro and Tengen can beat Muzan? Absolutely not. It just comes down to, it's like, I mean, I get the idea, right? It's like, oh, well, look how much Thermo did and look how little Evolve did, right? It's just power creeping. It's just power creeping, right? Yeah, he didn't one-shot Shimo, not because he's not strong. It's just because Shimo is that strong. He didn't blow up the city because he didn't reach that state in a much stronger state that can hold more radiation to the point where his body literally had no choice but to pulse it out. He had no other option. It was a more refined version. It was him being able to control it better. Greg Keyes says that. The novel says that. The film pretty much implies that. Like, there's so many things. Like, sure, Thermo has all of the amazing, very well-made CG shots of him looking super cool and very powerful. And I get it that it's like, oh, Supercharged doesn't destroy the city around him to the degree Thermo does. That's not an issue of Thermo being stronger. That's just power creeping. Why would Godzilla just destroy the city around him? He's going for the kaiju, right? He could have absolutely destroyed the city. Maybe not to as easily as an extent as Thermo, not because he's weaker, but because he doesn't have a gigantic pulse like Thermo does. You see? There's a lot of, it's like, I get that. I see a lot of people like, oh, you know, toy statement merchant, right? And I get why a lot of people say that, because a lot of people are misinformed on how it actually is. And a lot of people that defend Supercharge do use those toy statements as like founding, like as their foundation, right? That's whack. That's silly. I'm not affiliated with those people that say that, right? Like how Mark isn't affiliated with, I'm not going to name the other scaler, but the other scaler that said Thermo glued more than Supercharge as an argument, right? It's taking the worst of either side, right? That'd be like me saying, like, you know, Supercharge is brighter, so therefore he's stronger. That's a stupid argument. That's dumb. That's silly, right? It's like using that as your actual argument is just not a good way to scale.
Has a much different charging of sound and look to it. The GXK novelization also claims that the spiral ray hit Scar King's hand, which yet again contradicts the film, as we see Scar King duck out of the way as Godzilla's atomic breath directly hits the crystal. And what's baffling is that if we want to take this as fact, Godzilla's spiral—
I mean, that's a novel outlier. Again, I've said it a couple times. Greg Keyes, he gets to see the film like once or twice before he has to write a whole novel, such as Scylla having apparently 8 legs in the novelization. That doesn't make the novelization not canon. If you want to run with that, you have to get rid of almost all your statements you're using here. You have to take away all the GXK statements and all of the King of the Monster statements. It's cherry picking here.
Ray didn't do anything to Scar King's hand. Evolved Godzilla doesn't show anything remotely as impressive to Thermo, movies-wise, and the statements. They either contradict the film, or are just not nearly as good as Thermo's statements.
He's using the energy that he feeds off of as a weapon, so essentially it's Godzilla distilled down to its most powerful essence.
Again, that was also 2019 when that came out. That is, as you said at the start of the video, 7 years ago.
Let's get a brief recap of the entire argument. The main things that support thermonuclear Godzilla being the true most powerful form of Godzilla are when you compare the fights of both forms against relative opponents, we have thermonuclear no-selling and virtually one-tapping an amped Ghidorah, and we have supercharged evolved Godzilla barely being able to dent Shimo and groaning in pain while grappling with Shimo, where this wouldn't even come close to the pain inflicted by Ghidorah's amped gravity beams. Based on everything we covered, Shimo and Ghidorah are the same tier of Titan. If evolved Godzilla's spiral ray was even more powerful than thermonuclear's pulses, Scar King should have been one shot regardless of being grazed or not, as well as the crystal fully exploding instead of literally nothing happening to it, considering the axe swung by Suko of all people destroyed it. Thermonuclear Godzilla has far better feats of durability and power, but also his flat-out strength, being able to stomp right through Ghidorah, who took no damage from a nuke amp beam for 18 seconds, as opposed to Evolved, while only in his base state, not being able to stomp through Kong, who obviously has nowhere near the durability of Ghidorah. And
hold on, low-key, I'm not watching. Give me 1 sec. Sorry, I'm actively texting Mark. Let me back it up.
Even come close to the pain inflicted by Ghidorah's amped gravity beams. Based on everything we covered, Shimo and Ghidorah are the same tier of Titan. If evolved Godzilla's spiral ray was even more powerful than thermonuclear's pulses, Scar King should have been one shot regardless of being grazed or not, as well as the crystal fully exploding instead of literally nothing happening to it, considering the axe swung by Suko of all people destroyed it. Thermonuclear Godzilla has far better feats of durability and power, but also his flat-out strength, being able to stomp right through Ghidorah, who took no damage from a nuke amp beam for 18 seconds, as opposed to Evolved, while only in his base state, not being able to stomp through Kong, who obviously has nowhere near the durability of Ghidorah. And last but not least, thermonuclear Godzilla has a clear win con of being able to absorb Evolved's energy-based attacks. Evolved, on the other hand, can't. As seen when
I'm not debunking it in the chain right now because they've already gone over a lot of it, and I just want to let him talk.
Frozen solid by Shimo's Frostbite Blast, which is an energy-based attack. If these two forms ever fought to the death, the outcome wouldn't come down to any fighting skill, rather thermonuclear's sheer power and inability to be damaged, paired with his ability to directly absorb energy-based attacks, would be too much to handle. While thermonuclear is a temporary form, the fight either wouldn't last long enough for this to be an issue, or Godzilla would exit this form form with Evolved severely incapacitated to where he can't continue the fight. The fact is, Evolved's supercharged state can be interrupted. When the crystal exploded, Godzilla then rose from the rubble in his base evolved state. These pulses are clearly much more powerful, and with every pulse, it would reset Godzilla back to his base form, causing him to have to re-supercharge. It would come down to the fact that supercharged evolved Godzilla has never demonstrated the ability to, and would not be able to, withstand overcharge level attacks such as Ghidorah's anti-gravity beams to the point where nothing happens, survive nuclear pulses that erase top-tier titans.
Well, also, if we're assuming that, right, if we're going back to he got stronger in that, that means those pulses there that he uses against Ghidorah after the first one wouldn't be usable. If any. Wait, did he Ghidorah before he Ghidorah? He beamed before he ever pulsed, didn't he? So the beam, like the pulse were getting stronger as it went on. There's a little thing to add on there, right? That's not like a main argument for anyone's like, oh yeah, let me add that to my argument, Doc. No. But also, he would be quick enough to get away. Also, if we're the main issue with this debate, a lot of it is we're just looking at the power, not the fact that Evolved knows how Thermo operates. He knows how weak he became afterwards. In this fight, Evolved's gonna win literally just thanks to knowledge. Even if we want to say they're 50-50, all Evolved has to do is get close enough to bait him into starting doing it, or literally just wait. Actually, he doesn't have to bait. Thermo has to pulse. He has to. He can't hold it. Evolve literally just needs to make distance, wait, and then go back in and kill him. Like, this isn't even an argument of power. It's an argument of literally just wait like 30 seconds and then go kill him.
In a matter of seconds, or be able to release attacks that are as powerful as thermonuclear Godzilla. Evolved, even while supercharged, is not surviving those pulses, let alone dealing significant damage to Thermo. Burning Godzilla, on the other hand, did all three. While supercharged Evolved would be able to handle the pulses better than Ghidorah, he's going to end up at the very least losing multiple limbs, incapacitating him and outright losing. The only way supercharged Evolved wins this fight is if he by some miracle survives the thermonuclear form, which he won't. Until the Monsterverse shows us a form that can casually ignore the strongest attacks we've ever seen like they're nothing, thermonuclear, aka Burning Godzilla, remains the strongest Monsterverse form. Well, there we have it, everyone. Whether it was before Godzilla x Kong or after, I've arrived at the conclusion several times that Burning Godzilla is still the strongest form of Monsterverse Godzilla. And one last thing, if you want to go down the statement rabbit hole, Greg Keyes, the writer of the novelization, even said he's unsure if Evolved's energy is more powerful, but confirmed the obvious that it's controlled. And the nail in the coffin of all the statements and commentary, Terry Rossio, who worked on the screenplay and helped write the film, believes thermonuclear to be superior. While usually comments like these are unusable, this comes from someone who directly worked on the script and screenplay of the film. He's not just some random designer. And as one of my best friends, Goji Guy, says,
beats are the most important part of any fight.
But what did you think about my points in the video? Did you agree or disagree? Or maybe did I even change your mind? Despite this debate being started up almost 2 years ago, it's still a hot topic in the community. And with this video, I think it's safe to say this is the definitive argument as to why thermonuclear is superior and would win against supercharged evolved Godzilla. So let me know in the comments down below, who would win? If you disagree, feel free to make your own video, as depending on your arguments, everyone's take is 100% valid. Last but not least, I gotta thank the channel members for supporting the channel. If you want to see videos there.
Like I said earlier in the stream, I can see if you take Mark's line of thinking, why you would think that. Yeah, I absolutely get that. And like the way he looked at it, right? Why you would think Thermo would be superior. Absolutely. As far as video goes, very well made, except that dead frame. I noticed that, Mark. I don't know if you were here when that happened. I don't know if you're still here, but there was a dead frame. There was a manila missing. Bad video. Down like, is that even an option? Oh, it is still. It's on a source for some reason. But I don't know. There's a lot of things that are just missing context, old, not true anymore, or just like headcanon that I just can't get with. And it's not because like I'm trying to support some evolved agenda. I've made it very clear. I don't like Evolved. I don't like the New Empire. If you guys saw the Kaiju Cowboys reaction trailer, I've said many times in streams, I think the New Empire is the weakest film of all the Monstrous ones. So this isn't like some like deeply rooted bias. If you want me to be biased, give me Megalon. I'll take Megalon over either. I'll take Megalon over both of them at once. I'll make arguments why he'd win. There's no bias of, oh, I gotta go with Evolved. I much prefer Thermo, aka Burning, right? It's just supercharged stronger. As much as I want to say Thermo wins, with the actual, of course, I'm gonna say mine's proper, right? Everyone think, you know, their subjective opinion is the objective one. You know, with how my chain scaling goes, right? Like there's not really any headcanon. There's the most recent up-to-date statements, right? Like, it's just a much more, I would say, obviously everyone's going to say, objective list, right, of chain scaling. But I can actually see if you get behind Mark's line of thinking, yeah, absolutely, I would agree that Thermo would win. But it's just, I got to heavily disagree with his chain scaling. There's a lot of statements that are just wrong, outdated, a lot of headcanon. Him criticizing the novelization like it hit in his hand and he paused, but then also using the novelization as proof to either upplay Thermo or downplay Evolved. There's some, yeah, it's, My overall, my rating, that's my rating. But again, though, guys, do not watch someone's channel because they say one take you disagree with. That is a thing that me and Mark talked about heavily. The amount of times it's like, oh, I hate FDA, or I hate Goji Guy, or I hate Goji Chronic because they said this in one of their videos. Twin, if you're going to dislike somebody over one thing they said, you are going to live a lonely, sad life. Very lonely and very sad. There are plenty of takes that I heavily disagree with Mark, but like I still watch his videos. Watch. Didn't watch the full cut. Watch. Like, you know. So, anyways, we still live though. We'll stay live. Ooh, what time did Joe say? Joe Mama. Versus, okay. Hold on. I gotta hit up my artist. Gigamations. This one works best. Just get rid of the building thing. Rather just have Shin being pushed. Also, increase the size of your file. As the 10 tails one was a lower pixel count than most. So like just higher pixel count. And Bizarrico, why'd he hit me up? We're starting them now? Okay. Yeah, no. Mark, I saw you called me. I will call you on my phone because, like I said, I text you. I'm gonna try and go out and find something to get my dad. Everyone, tomorrow is Goji Dad's birthday. Shin, there is another Shin video in the works. It's gonna be a great time to be Shin Godzilla. A phenomenal time. What's my phone at? 30? Ooh, we can charge it in the car. We're chilling. All right, chat. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Tomorrow, I'll get back on the shorts grind. I'll try and have the GFest haul by this weekend. And we're getting back on shorts. Thank you, everybody, for all the bajillion donations. I greatly appreciate it. And as always, keep collecting. Goji Guy out. See ya.